little voice saying, you might not remember me, but I wanna dance with you. Ever since the night we met, I must tell you true. You danced into my life, never out of my mind. And now between me and my man, it's all over. That's what she said. And I just want us now to get closer. Ooh, baby, she loves me now. That just means I can't complain. Oh, she loves me now. And I must admit I feel the same. I know something special would have to come out. 'Cause the way you were the woman, there was no doubt. We would have to see each other, and it would not be long before we hit it off with a love that's strong, strong, strong. So I know someone out there is hurt, but we got to get it on. It's natural that we were meant for each other. And if you run your life the way you dance, I'd be proud of that.
Welcome again to another podcast. I'm your gracious host, Moma. This is Two Youths Trying a Ting, and this is my co-host,
Rudebwoy.
and we have our wonderful guest returning for the second time. Guest, please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, it's Kai. How y'all doing?
Yes, TravelerKai. So yeah, Kai, it's been a while. I know everyone's been busy. I hope 2015 was a wonderful, had a wonderful conclusion, and I hope we launch into 2016 and achieve what we need to do, as on an individual basis and on a group basis. So yeah, Rude Boy, lead off with a few questions. Let's find out. I know you had some questions for travelers, so yeah, let it pop, bro.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, Moma. Kai, happy to have you back, and
Thanks
I
for
know
having
you've
me
got.
back. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it too, and I know you got some things to get off your chest, but we just had a little discussion. I'd like for you to sort of, as Moma would say, expatiate on this term called the totem pole. So basically, we're talking the hierarchy of, I guess, race, for lack of a better word.
Yeah,
And
can I state what I think it is, and then Traveler, I think he had some views on where it's applicable and how far it's applicable on a global basis. So I'm just gonna state what I know of it, and again, my opinion's always up for correction. But there's totem poles for males and females. I think this has been the gauge has been based on online dating sites. From my understanding, in the West, for men, the white male is number one. Black male, I'm gonna place around number two, and at the very bottom, I don't like to, but I'm not gonna mention who the very bottom is, but I think we mentioned that before. Traveler can mention that. Now for the females, the white lizard is number one. Um, I'm not sure who number two is. You might say it's an Asian lizard from, Asia.
I think it's actually Latina or Latino, then Asian,
Really?
then blacks at the very bottom for on both ends of the thing, with the minor exception of Asian males being below the black male on the male totem pole.
But Kai, before you give your answer, I know Momo, thank you for that, but
You're welcome.
Kai, last time you said it, you had it combined, so I think you actually said white woman is at the top of the pyramid, so I don't know if that was...
the white women are at the very top, but, again, that's mostly in the West. Like we kind of talked off to the side, you start taking into account globally. Sometimes white guys, especially white guys, they think too highly of their white god factor, or they don't take into account in certain places, like for example, certain parts of Asia. The fact that you can be that you're an American first in the eyes of anybody there. Your skin color is like second or third thing down. And even before we even talk about how the fact that you are an American first, you're actually a Gaijin, you're a Lawai, you're a Farang, I forgot how you pronounce that in Thai, but you're an out, which basically translates out to outsider. You know, before anything else, you are an outsider. You're either not Thai, you're not Chinese, not Vietnamese, not Japanese, not Korean. Then they break the rest of it down in that regard, and when you try to compare when you try to do this totem pole comparison stuff and try to guesstimate how powerful your skin factor is going to relate to you, you have to get past all those other things first. So that's about 2 to 3 things first. And then again, if in the eyes of certain women, if you're the first outsider, foreigner, what have you, that they've ever seen before, the fact that you're a black American, you're still an outsider and an American first and second. The fact that you're not a white American may not have anything to do with how she perceives you. You know, so you're not batting, you're not fighting on a handicap, with a mismatch right off the bat, not like you would think. So when you come to these other foreign countries, if you have an inadequacy or you have a perception of how you feel about your own self or how you feel about other people and how they view you from where you're from, you're already coming into the battle, uh, with an injury. Your mindset is not completely flat, paved concrete foundation,
Neutral.
neutral playing field, which is what it needs to be, so that you don't fumble your words, you don't say the wrong things, you can concentrate and focus on the language, so that if you're speaking their language, you don't make mistakes. You can focus on listening to them reply, because they're going to reply back very fast, so you got to be on point for all of that. And if you're going to use a canned routine, if they say something else that messes, that's outside of your canned response from her, then you're going to fumble it. But all these other outside things mess with your mind. And then, like,
Can
again,
I can
like
I
talk
ask a
about the.
quick question?
Sure, go ahead.
You talked to the American. If you're from the UK or France or Holland as a black person, is your value a little lower, or is it just the fact that you're non-Asian?
I think they're in the same position, whether you're
Okay.
from UK or America. At least with it, not every single country is going to. Some countries have a more like, well, Hong Kong's not its own country or autonomous region anymore, but in a lot of ways, being from the UK or maybe even Australia seems to have kind of a stronger play. It kind of might work in your favor a little higher than maybe an American, for example, right?
But speaking to that, Kai, just to interject there, I was speaking to a Canadian guy, Chinese guy, but he's from Hong Kong background, and he was actually telling me, I guess, the real skinny on Hong Kong, what it's like to live there and stuff. And he actually said, as of late, they do not, since the British have left, they're looking for more American speakers. And he actually met English guys there who couldn't find jobs. And, they want to learn the American English because, quite frankly, he said everybody wants to do business with America and they want to do business with Walmart, right? So
That's
I think
interesting.
times could be changing. I mean, this is a Hong Kong guy,
China as a whole is changing. I read about those 7 people that are now missing from Hong Kong. Looks like the PRC got them. So, because they were saying bad things about the Chinese mainland government.
Sorry,
So,
what is the PRC?
the People's Republic of China.
Okay.
China Communist Party, CCP. Excuse me. So CCP has gotten now these people are missing. Like their family don't know where the fuck they are. They're probably in a re-education camp right now. That's how fucked up that is. So,
What's a re-education camp? No, I don't mean to laugh.
it's probably the place where they beat the shit out of you until they execute you in a white van that's roaming around somewhere, undocumented and everything else.
Or with every
Hong Kong people probably thought that the mainland weren't gonna just go into their territory and be fucking with them. Looks like they're cutting off the head of the chicken and showing it to the monkeys to scare the shit out of them. So, as the
every
old Chinese proverb goes. So,
every beat they give you, they remind you of something. They probably recite some kind of Chinese anthem, so that almost like electric treatment, right? So once someone makes that motion that they're gonna slap you, you suddenly remember something important about mainland China.
pretty much, you know. So yeah, that actually that's interesting to hear. But when it still comes to the ladies, I don't know. They may have that edge still, but maybe they don't. I don't know. It's probably about the same as before. But as far as like being black from other places other than America, I think you'd be pretty much in the you know you wouldn't be in too much of a different thing. Say unless let's say for example, like let's say you're a black guy that from the UK, but let's say maybe you came from the Congo or something, and maybe your English is not very good. Well, then obviously, if you say you're from the UK, but your English is terrible, so I don't know. That wouldn't. I obviously wouldn't
But
work out too well.
here's something, and I don't want to be, as again, my knowledge of Asia is pretty much Zippo. If someone doesn't know English, how do they know that yours is terrible? Because
Well, there
because it,
are other people there that can speak pretty good English too. I mean, you roll up on a university student, you'd be surprised. A lot of them can speak very, very good English.
yeah, because it's like in when I was in Miami, no one knew that I had a British accent because not no one, but mostly they didn't because their English sucked. So Miami listeners can I don't care if they're thinking because I know Miami well. They didn't know, I had to tell them. Oh, hey, you're Jamaican. I'm like, no, this is not a Jamaican accent. This is a London accent. So that's why I was wondering if you're somewhere where
You might
English
have to
isn't.
throw that in an exception box because Americans are fucking retarded.
But Miami
They
is
can't
not
tell
really,
the
they're
difference
not really
between an
Americans,
Islander
are they?
accent. They can't tell the difference between an Islander's accent, a Jamaican's accent, a Trinidad, a person from Trinidad. They can't tell the difference between that and a UK accent. They probably can't tell the difference between a Scottish and an Irish
No,
accent.
no, no, but Miami is not a reflection of America. Like Miami, you can't even use that.
Unfortunately, to some degree, it is.
In
That
that
if you pluck
mentality.
your average Texan out of the street right now and ask them, tell me the difference between you have a Scottish person and an Irish person speaking. A lot of them can't tell you the difference. And an English person, a Londoner, you get a Londoner, and maybe even a South Londoner at that. And put all three of them lined up together and tell me, say which one is which. They couldn't tell you.
Hmm.
That's just America. We don't get up this. We don't care a lot about other places. I mean, there's a reason why only 30-something% of Americans have a passport. They're ignorant about these things.
He said
I'm not
it.
trying to cap. It's just that's the way it is.
He,
That's
he,
real talk.
he said it. I didn't say it. I'm just a witness.
But to Kai's point, back to the Hong Kong thing. Hence incredible. Kai, did you listen to the show we did with Casanova? Hence credible.
Yeah, it was good. It was interesting.
And he got arrested. He got arrested in Hong Kong.
Yeah, he did. That was a fucked up story. But props to
Superman had to.
But
Superman
he's American though, and
hooking him
then
up and taking care of it. Huh?
oh yeah, Superman. Yeah, props up to Superman.
Yeah,
Superman.
that,
Journey of
that was
Superman
that was
is
very
the
good.
man.
Yeah, he bailed
And
him
if
out.
he's listening to this, thanks. That's really good to hear. That's what I hope all Manosphere guys do for one another. We all gotta look after each other,
Amen.
regardless of where we come from, skin color and everything, background,
Amen.
everything.
Amen, my
Amen.
brother.
Amen.
Yeah. But
Amen.
yeah, what were you saying? You saying about it?
Well, no, he got arrested. I mean, to his point, he's an American, right?
Yeah, he's an American.
Of East African descent, right?
He's from some part of Africa. Yeah,
I don't
of
think
East
he
Africa.
got arrested for being East African. I think he just got arrested for being American or
No, he said it was because he was black, right? It was some, and he wasn't even involved in anything,
And
but
I think
because
he
he
had
was.
some candy on him, and they thought he was, moving pills or something, right?
Yeah, I thought it was like a false drug arrest or
Oh,
something.
was it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
so some
okay.
Tic
It's been
Tacs,
a while
man.
since I listened to it, but
Man got locked up for Tic Tacs.
and he really hot at you guys for not remembering his story.
I know that he wasn't moving pills, and they thought it
He's
was
gonna be like,
pills.
you guys move pills because y'all must be the ones taking the pills because y'all don't remember shit.
No, Kai, it's an inside joke. Inside joke. Oh man! Shout out to Casanova if you're listening, bro. We love you, man. We love
Yeah, Casanova is the man. He's a global. His footprints all over this planet, man.
you. Yeah, man.
Yeah, but it's easy to get caught up in some in not easy. It's dangerous to get caught up in dope related situations in pretty much any part of Asia, really. It ain't just China, not just Hong Kong, especially Singapore. I mean, you flirting with death. I mean, I don't know if you guys knew that, but
I
you
heard
never
about
you
that.
never
I mean,
be a part of it.
I don't move that type of stuff, but I've heard that,
Don't even use it.
I've heard of British people trying to slip stuff out, women, maybe slipping it either in the purse or up the anus or something, and when they've gotten caught, they're trying to get their government to bail them out, and Singapore's like, no, 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 you
Mhm.
violating our country, we're coming at you hard. So I've definitely heard of it. It doesn't apply to me because I have no it,
Executions and caning,
yeah,
public caning.
yeah, blatant floggings, not even floggings. And you think about them biblical eras when they flog you, and you got the whole
Mm-mm.
marketplace just watching as that person giving you lashes. Yeah.
Yeah, and the meat off your ass is flying after every smack. Go check it out online if you were curious to see what that looks like. It's terrible.
Hey, I've been to Nigeria. I'm good, bro.
Mm-mm.
That's a mess.
Yeah.
So, Kai, you've got a beef with outer shape Americans in China. You wanna speak to that?
Out of shape. If you're referring to David Bond, that's fucked up. I didn't say anything about his shape. But some other people on the forum did, but whatever. I'm sure he could tighten that up with 100 setups every night for a few weeks.
Wow.
But anyway, I mean, we could all tighten it up, but whatever. But and maybe he did it after Christmas or something. Took those videos or something after Christmas. I wouldn't have done it. That's if you're
But
from Louisiana, around Christmas after New Year, you trying to look sparse. People say, hey, you want to go out of the club night? Nah, play. I'm good. I'm good. You up against the bathtub hitting crunches.
wow.
Listening to ESP, I'm like, nah, I'm straight, play. I'm not. I'm gonna catch y'all in a couple weeks, man. I ain't no good right now.
So you
But
said he was messing up with the PUA or something in China. Could you elaborate on what he was doing wrong and why he shouldn't be doing it? Because I don't really have interest in PUA in Hong Kong or wherever he did it, so I didn't read about
well,
it. But if you could expand, that'd be great.
basically, he's videotaping his interactions with women, not just pick up on the street, but way further than that. To intimacy, being in a shower or tub with them, like just completely retarded shit. Yeah, and the problem with that is he's exporting social dysfunction to places that look down on that. You can't do that. The whole Howard Stern, hey, look at me, I'm a Kardashian, I'm an attention whore, all that bullshit. You don't bring that shit to a place where that stuff either A, doesn't exist, or they look down on it heavily as like complete and utter mental retardation, or like just these people are psycho or something. And it also hurts every other person that is from your area, from your hometown, your country, your cities that go to the same places. Because now these people are looking in the back of their mind like, here comes another degenerate asshole from that land of where the whore Babylon shakes her ass. these trash gaijin outsiders, whatever you want to call them. And and unfortunately, some people on the forum, they just don't fucking get it. They think, oh, this has been going on forever. One guy's not gonna ruin it for everybody. That's a bunch of bullshit. All it's gonna take is for it to escalate. Just like I told you how in Hong Kong the tide has changed. Now the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, can make people quote unquote disappear. What if he would have disappeared the next time he goes to Hong Kong pulling that shit and he makes international news, not just news in mainland China or Taiwan or whatever, but they nab his ass and put him in a gulag, and then you got the U.S. Embassy can't do shit about it.
So is it that deep that they would actually, do they actually go to that level? I mean, I'm a very respectful traveler, but and I'm taking a breath here because I try to choose my words carefully. I've not always found Americans to be as sensible to the cultural differences when they travel, and not necessarily due to the fault of an American, because it's a very isolated country, and the way it's set up, it's like America, 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 nothing else. So people have this mentality. But because I'm not from there, when I travel, I keep quiet and then I wait and I do. Whereas people come and they say, "Hey, dude, I was." Filming my lizard, banging her out with, Brad and the boys in San Diego. I'm going to continue it here. And as you said, some places are more reserved in the way they display certain things, so they don't accept that and they take it as a national affront. You
Yes,
know what I
they
mean?
take that as like, and we don't we in the West, we get upset when white nationalists get on the forum and start, you know, white knighting for blonde white women and doing all this other dumb shit that we can't stand. These people, they take not only do they, when they get a nationalistic sentiment about something, they actually put actions to words. They're not just some wannabe dude that wants to rock a white hood but too pussy to do it down the street in the ghetto over here. These motherfuckers will come out like in Korea. Korean men will come out with bats and beat the shit out of you if they think you're fucking all the bitches in the neighborhood. I keep bringing stuff up like this on the forum. I just stopped after a while because I kept getting people sending me PMs or people saying on the forum, "Oh, that can't happen. There's no way that could happen." It's like a delusion. It's like they think the laws of America kind of like subconsciously just transfer to wherever they are anywhere in the world, as if an American embassy is going to save your sorry ass if you do something stupid or do something wrong. What planet do these people live on? You know, these people take care of business and they're serious about it. They're a homogenous society and they're going to act like it. They wish that America was a homogenous society, but it isn't. So they get the freedom of it, but they don't want none of the responsibility of it. That's just that's fucked up, and it'll mess up everything else for others because when stuff like that happens, it actually makes the national news. Something like that would never make the national news here. What makes national news here might be Roosh getting, attacked by a bunch of fat women and on Dr. Oz or something.
With a lot of jelly fat on their neck, innit? Turkey neck fat, wobbling as they waddle towards him with, clutching a purse and a big
and say, "You
pie in
don't
the
know
other hand,
me.
innit?
You don't know me."
Yeah.
I'm like, bitch, sit down.
Well,
Fucking
well,
talk. God
Kai,
damn.
with this guy, why did you think he got so much publicity in China?
Because that stuff is looked
Or
down. Well,
Asia?
well, I just kind of give you a tip, a heads up. Like in Japan, China too, Korea especially. I don't know about Taiwan, but somebody had to correct me on the forum if I'm wrong. Open displays of affection are considered gross and looked down upon in public. Like, just anything like that. So if you release willingly, it wasn't like somebody hacked their shit and took it and then submitted it. But if you're self-promoting this kind of stuff to them, you might as well have been trying to lock down lips on chicks in the middle of the park. And it also looks like he's taking advantage of the local women who, I mean, if you got any kind of an idea of what it's like in Asia for your average Joe and how hard it is for them to get even one notch in their life, which
Really?
typically is getting married and being able to save enough money so that you could, your parents, your family can, get submit the money to the other family, to, for a marriage arrangement or whatever have you, or just
But
afford an
that's based
apartment
on,
somewhere.
but that's
That,
generally based on economics, though, isn't it?
yeah, it is, but economics is real life. That stuff translates down to real life. So my economic situation is this. That's my reality. That is
But
what follows. And when other people are taking advantage of what is available around me, which they they get pissed off. The males react.
is it you're saying that a lot are struggling to get a notch? Is it that they consider the notch it's economic, like they also have to bundle
A
it in?
non-paid notch. Let me rephrase. Let me clarify. So in Asia, unlike over here, if you need to get a tug, a rub and tug or whatever, and 40, $40 or $20 or whatever it is, $13, whatever it is, they can get that. They can get that done.
Okay.
There is no hangups on that bullshit like it is over here, and you got psychopaths running around, balls filled to the brim, and in a heart full of fury, killing people and shit because they can't get the rocks off.
Right.
These guys, they can get the rocks off, but the problem is you're taking what five, sixes, and sevens off the market. Not every age guy in Asia is capable of pulling a 7, 8, 9, 10, or whatever. Because if it would be worse if he was pulling something that high. But there are guys who are from the countryside or guys that are really poor. They would be fine with even just a meager 4. What they in China they have something called in Chinese they call it translates out to good enough wife. Basically, not too fat, not too ugly, not too poor, good enough. They'll just take that. But and we can't judge them for in our own minds to say, well, those guys suck. They should step their game up. No, you stepped into their environment. Now you're fucking up what the way things
But
work over
And to
here.
lend to
Kai, but sorry, but Kai, I mean, I obviously agree with you, and you know what you're talking about. But I think this is one of the things that is not talked about because I notice a lot of guys like to make fun of Japan and China, all these guys, what they call them, herbivores and all this kind of stuff. But let's be honest, it's the same situation in Canada and the United States, right? There's a lot of guys that aren't getting girls that are above a certain quality, right?
yeah, it's the same worldwide. Most people averages are averages. So when guys are saying that, you look at their um spouses or their significant others, they're not knockout dimes, you know?
Well, so there's a difference between a herbivore, which is somebody who's basically a MGTOW, a MGTOW, whatever, how do they pronounce it, and a guy who is short, squatty, poor, works as a security guard at a hotel. He's just trying to make it, but he gotta get some pussy too, and he needs a wife, and he wants to be a dad too. If you taking the all the five, if trash foreigners are take, or if this is what he perceives to be the case, that they're taking all the fives, you know, in the streets and in the clubs or whatever, because he'll take any of those chicks. He'll take whatever he can get. That he's going to feel shitty about that, and he's going to feel angry. If you notice, even on the thread I created, a couple of Asians came out there and said some stuff, and one of them came out and he got, of course, he got railed for what he said, but because he came off as like a racist or a cuck or something like that. But Asian guys don't take kindly to this shit. It's offensive to them. They see that as white arrogance or foreigner arrogance, trying to basically push our shitty value system onto them and push our shitty way of life onto them. It's not respectful at the end of the day.
I feel you on that. Even to lend just slightly to it, people here don't take to that kindly. I know some guys that would they'd go out, particularly in the Massachusetts area, and there was something I found quite funny. They'd be in clubs and they're the minorities, and they were doing quite well with the lizards, and the majority males would come over while they're talking to a lizard and cut the cheese, as they say, which for those who don't know is they would fart covertly and then move away. So the lizard ends up smelling their fart. So that was their way of revolting against the success of the minority chaps that were monopolizing the best lizard. So it exists here too. No one's cool if you come and you take one of these
Yeah,
hot
but see, that
models.
shit's harmless, dude. Again,
Some get
people live.
serious, bro. Some will, if they got bravery in numbers and they drink. Some will fight. I'm not downplaying how Asians react. I'm only lending that it's not to make the Asians look petty because they do it here too. Some will fight. They will get into fight because they didn't get no pussy that night, and you walked off with their best lizards.
Yeah, this is the guys here. If the non-Asian guys even here, because you're right. Some of these Asian American guys and some of these like these Southeast Asian, these Laotian guys and Cambodians, some of them they'll fucking fight you if you try to pull one of their chicks in some of these night spots. But they probably wouldn't. In some of these places, you wouldn't even want to go through the door if you if you approached the club anyway. But because it's kind of rough. But you know, white guys or black guys, tripping over something like that, it's ridiculously petty because the women wouldn't even make you pay for it because women get their pussy dries up completely when anybody tries to fight for over them like that. Like they don't think that shit's cool at all or sexy at all. But over there, it kind of becomes a matter of public safety in a sense because if he were trying this stuff in mainland China, he could possibly get himself hurt because some of them have beaten up foreigners recently within the last maybe 6 months or a year or so. Within the last year, there was a guy who got jumped outside of university in Beijing, a white guy walking around with a Korean girlfriend. Those Chinese guys didn't even know that the chick was Korean.
Damn.
They thought she was one of them, and they beat up this dude. They jumped him and beat him up real bad. So I'm just saying, there's other guys that they're living and working in these countries too. And one thing goes viral on the news, they out there looking for anybody that looks like a foreigner. Again, that's where when it goes back to where I said before at the beginning of the show about you're a foreigner number one, you're an American number second, and then after that, whatever color you are comes after that. I mean, but all bets are off at number one, and they might beat your ass just because, of the sensation of the news going around. They'll actually do something about it. They're not gonna just talk about it or fart. They're just gonna beat your ass.
So you had some mentions about the you're a bit amused, or I'm trying to think of the right word in terms of the discussions on the forum in regards to long-term relationships. I mentioned this some time ago. I am from a culture that does value marriage, and because of that, I'm just lending my own personal take on it. I've always had that, so I'm split between two worlds in the sense that I can leverage onto that, and I know of people that have done it and continue to do it and are well versed in it, whereas a lot of these guys haven't. But I knew being young, when your balls are loaded with semen, that's the last thing on your mind. But as the elder statesmen are now becoming into age. Some of them are now entering their 30s. They've been smashing for maybe 7 to 10 years. Some of them are now hitting their 40s. They're now looking into more serious relationships, whether those be long-term partners or actually be wives. So you've noticed a little trend or immature statements on that. Please lend your, opinion or, judgments on that.
Yeah, like Archie said, and I don't know if it's because it's cold outside or what, but everybody want to shack up for whatever reason or start making a preference out of these things when they need to address the simple fact that they like to fuck a lot. They like to fuck around. unless you trying to find, and I would lightly talk about this in other settings, but unless you're trying to find a wife that does not mind you going out to get your needs met outside of the house, as long as you come home at the end of the night or come home for dinner, you know, marriage is not for you. You know what I mean? If you got like 100, 200, 300 plus notch count, and your whole reason and rationale for wanting a long-term relationship is that you want to somehow you just don't want to chase as much anymore, then that's the wrong reason. It should be a more a more mature, more serious, more sensible reason or rationale for wanting to stick with one.
But Kai,
But
to be honest, with you, I think I know I understand what you're saying, but I think really there's a lot of bravado. There's a lot of keyboard. I mean, I don't want to disparage anybody, but there's a lot of keyboard warriors and stuff like that, and to run a game and do it consistently, and it takes your toll. I don't know the energy that you guys have or these other guys have, but there's a lot of talk, and I think ultimately why you're seeing a lot of those threads or posts, I think guys are
You think they're just burning out physically?
burning out, and I think they're having a hard time, right? Like, I mean, it's not easy to continue. I don't know where these guys live, but to pull decent girls on a continuous basis, it's it's not easy, right? It's not, you got to
Well,
really
in
have a
some
mind.
guys' cases, like chaotic. I mean, he sounded like he was pulling decent girls all the time. He obviously wasn't exclusive. He was smashing on the side and keeping his girl on the hook on the other side. Like, so, you know,
well,
you know,
I mean,
and some of the other guys I'm seeing on the phone, like what's his name, Ball Don't Lie, who's actually in China of all places. He's got girls that want to do long term with him, and he's trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I keep them because they fuck real good. And I just saw this thread like a couple of days ago. I'm like, what the fuck? How did I miss this one? This weird ass thread, but you know, he trying to keep them on. He's trying to keep them copacetic so he can continue to smash, but without promising them anything. When the problem is, bro, just let them go. Stop being selfish. Just let them go. Move on to the next one. Just it's like they're getting. But I guess that goes back to what Rue was saying. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they're feeling kind of lazy or tired of chasing.
well, here's some of the things involved. With long-term relationships, some of the guys you get to an age where they want to have progeny's nature's way of preserving your gene code, your DNA. You live forever through your progeny. Like, everyone's trying to shoot testosterone or put in hair plugs or botox their temples to look younger, but old is old, and you're gonna get old no matter what. You're not gonna feel like an 18-year-old. The only way you're gonna be able to do that is to have kids, your progeny. So a lot of them are now looking, they're now considering that, and really the best way to do that is to have a wifey, because you can't just shoot off in some random chick and hope that she gets it right. You ideally want to have as much input as possible in raising your offspring. So I think that's part of the equation involved, and to lend to the fact, it's not, I don't know if it's completely a must to be monogamous in a wifey relationship. What I do think's important is that the lizard understands what, the mindset of it. You're also fair to it, and at least take care of the main nest. There's a lot of cultures where they hit a few things on the side, but that side chick knows their position, and so those are the kind of things that I would
Absolutely.
bring into it.
Yeah, I know of some Jamaican guys that got arrangements like that with the way, they take care of home first, but they do have side projects, and the whole family knows about it. It's and I know too many of those cases for Chinese men, but again, so if you did, and then here's my problem with all of that. If that's what you want, you're not gonna find that with an American woman. Period. I don't, there are few, far, few, and in between. Too tiny of a percentage of American women will let you play around like that and do all of that other shit.
What about
So
swingers?
that's different. That's dysfunction.
Yeah, but
That is just
but if you're in a
that's sheer
relationship
dysfunction.
between with each other, that's all that matters. Like other
You don't want
people,
to swinger for a mother either. You know that.
I don't know. I'm not. I'm only speaking. I'm speaking liberally. Like some people. I mean, that may be what they need to accept or take in order to make it work. Me and you may not, but I can't speak for others. That could work in terms of one being able to bring in different lizards into the relationships. But to say that a swinger relationship is dysfunctional, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could speak um, with authority on that. Because what is dysfunction? If they have children that grow up to be successful adult, what is successful, right? So, I mean, that's food for thought.
Costco says it best. Swinging is bullshit. Costco said it a long time ago. I wish I could go find the post right now. He broke down the swinging community and all that. All that shit is a bunch of attention whoring for a bunch of cuckold husbands, for women to attention whore and be, and fuck other men. And what eventually happens is they end up fucking men without the permission or without the husband knowing about it, and it ultimately dissolves the relationship because now they fucked up the only little thing they had that they thought they could agree upon. The thing is, women can't, when they're getting boned out by a man that they feel closer to, they start to forget about other men very, very quickly. You start letting other men fuck your wife, I guarantee you're going to lose her at some point. It may not happen in a year or two, but it's going to happen at some point, especially when you're not able to perform. And I personally know some people who were into swinging, and all of them are divorced right now for years now,
I
going on
think we
years now.
need to get some swingers on this show to really get into the mindset of a swinger because they might have the swinging community may have some things to say about your testimony towards the stability of
And go
their.
ask Costco. He'll tell you all about it because
But
he
he's not a
said,
But
swinger.
Costco, he hangs out in those spots though.
He's just reaping
yeah,
of the
but he was
benefits.
speaking from authority. He tell you what it is.
But he's
That's
just
bullshit.
he's coming
All
in
it
and
is
he's coming in and eating and he's popping out. He doesn't have a swinger relationship. He's just one of the guys that
because he's
pops
too
up.
smart to do that. He doesn't thrive in a dysfunction like that.
Oh,
But anyway,
he's a jackal.
but really
Just kidding,
though,
Costco. We know you. Much respect to the Toronto men. Then.
Yeah.
yeah, Costco's awesome. So let's go back real quick. So basically, my big deal with the LTR thing and wife hunting and blah blah blah, I don't see anybody putting in their requirements, and this is including Roosh in his 7 factors. Submission. None of these women, they not. I don't think I've seen one person state that they want a really submissive woman. That is so important because you can't tell a woman what to do or how to raise your child if she doesn't even respect you enough to follow what you say do without question. It just won't happen. You'll say, will you please put that child to bed? It is 9 o'clock. I'm like, I don't feel like it. I'll go do something else. Or they'll hang up the phone and do something completely different. You go talk to your kid. He's like, no, I get to stay up late and eat Cheetos all night. Because you don't, let's say you don't want to marry the woman, so you live somewhere else. And because of her quiet protesting of you not being at home, she's letting Junior do whatever the fuck he wants, and she's more than content with letting him ruin himself to get back at you, because women are very spiteful creatures. I'm not seeing anybody talking about that. I'm also not seeing any, and then guys get too caught up and hung up on, do we stay over there in her home country, where we may not have any rights or legal recourse on certain things, and she could take me to the cleaners in her own home country, versus do I bring her back to the States and have all these other thirsty ass chodes banging the shit out of her while I'm at work? Man, come on, dude. If you even got
Shots fired, boy. Shots
no, I'm
fired.
turning to Jerry L right now. I'm turning into Jerry L right now. So here's the problem with that. If you want to sleep with this bitch every night and you don't know whether or not she gonna fuck around and do, I don't know. I just don't get that mentality. I've never had, not one time, anybody try to hit on my wife. Number one, she's got a diamond ring that acts as a rattlesnake. So I made sure, I'm not trying to be materialistic or say, oh, I'm a big baller or whatever. No, I get something moderate, right? It's there to tell others, stay away from my woman. Number two, I've never had any problems with that because I don't let her get involved with bad people. I don't have people in my own circle that I would consider are toxic or bad influences. I got friends who have foreign wives that have funky attitudes or had problems with an influential friend that is about the wrong things and is single and all this other stuff and filling their head with nonsense and whatnot. A lot of the reason why is because they had them same people in their circle before they married said foreign woman. You know, pluck out the bad people in your circle. Don't hang around bad people in the first place. And there's no circle of hers to create. Another issue within that same space is that when hold on, I lost my train of thought. So, okay, so when you bring her back over here and she's got you're worried about her friends and whatnot. You, hold on.
I can loan a bit, and you've said some very valid points. And one of the ones that you triggered on was the company she keeps. And the reason that came to mind, a friend of mine from the dot recently, well, not recently, it's the anniversary. It's had maybe like a 2 year, 3 year anniversary already. I didn't know. I kind of guessed because his picture changed and I saw a woman in there, and he's not the type to just broadcast, women randomly. So I kind of knew where he was going with it. But anyway, he took a woman from back home. So I said, "Oh, bro, how come you got one from there? Why didn't you get one from the T dot?" And he laughed. He said, "You crazy." So basically, he's got his wife, and I said, "How do you prevent her from becoming, like the lizards around that you had no interest in?" And he said exactly what you said. He monitors her company, doesn't allow her to hang around with toxic, characters and so on and so forth, because sometimes you just got some women that either overtly or covertly, either consciously or subconsciously, they have um bad intent. They might say, "Oh, you guys went out the other day. What did he get for you? Or what did you eat? Oh, that's it." And they might say, "Oh, I'm just joking," but they're not joking, and that kind of energy starts to rub off, and you start to hear it, and then the negativity creeps in, and then the lizard might, your wife, or I'm not saying your wife, but one's wife may just find fault with something strange, like just pop off over something like, "Oh, why did you leave the toilet seat down?" Or, "You always shave and then you throw that cloth in that basket. Why don't you fold it?" And it's like, what is that? Like, really? You know what I mean? But yeah, go ahead, Traveler. Oh, actually, let's pause for a bit so I can split it in two. Just give it like 30
Okay.
seconds, and I'll just reintroduce, and then we can go into the second part.